Welcome to the Are You Mad at Me podcast. I'm Vickie Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan, and my microphone is fighting me. Hang on.
All right. Well, we'll give you a minute while you...
This is all about me.
Don't we have people that can take care of stuff like this?
I don't know what's happening with my... So since the last podcast,
our house has been lived in.
Our kids had friends over, and they were down in the basement. So like the interface and the microphones and everything's all unplugged and moved around, and yeah. So we're just getting resettled.
I think the boys' friends are very excited to know podcasters. So maybe they were down pretending to be us. Maybe
they were like, "Oh, I'm a Are You Mad at Me podcast."
We used to play house when I was a kid, but maybe they were down playing podcast. What do you think their podcast would be called?
Loud noises. That's
Who
what they
can scream the loudest while we're playing Fortnite.
Every time they show us a funny video on TikTok or whatever, it's just a scream. It's just like what, and they're like, "Ha ha ha!" It's so funny.
So
I'm like,
funny.
Yeah.
So they're at a good age.
It's a setup and a punchline all in one.
They're at a good age where they have their own sense of humor that we're too old to get, which I think is like that noise that dogs can hear, like the frequencies that only dogs can hear. So
yeah, sometimes I'm like, is this our version of adults? Like when we were kids,
are we their
and
version
parents
of
were
adults?
like, "Oh, that Pee Wee Herman, that is not funny," and I was like, "It's hilarious."
Mom didn't like the you know what I mean, Vern.
Ernest
P. Worrell.
Ernest P. Worrell.
Yeah,
I loved him. I loved
and
his
for some
movies.
reason, I guess there was a movie coming out or something, and there was some promotion coming on. Oh, I don't know. It just came in a regular mail, but it was like this face, like this whole cutout of his face. And one time I thought it'd be funny to. My mom had fallen asleep on the couch, and I woke her up holding the thing over my face.
Oh,
you
were Ernest?
It looked like Ernest P. Worrell was waking her up, and she friggin' lost it.
It's Worrell.
Well, there was a guy in my class named Worrell.
Yeah, that's different.
I don't
want you besmirching.
I think it's Worrell.
Ernest P. Worrell. That's what he always said. Ernest P. Worrell. Which I always got confused with Ernest T. Bass as a kid because that was from Andy Griffith. Okay. My microphone is not participating.
What's the problem? Anyway, I'll just fill this air because we are.
Oh, it's because it wasn't tightened.
Podcast.
I got it.
There
We're
you
good.
go.
All good.
Oh, someone probably played with the knobs.
Somebody was playing with the knobs.
There you go. It's been a busy week. Our kids had a... Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm Josh Morgan.
Yes, and I'm still Vickie Morgan, and this is
episode... Did we already say that?
Yeah. This is episode 37. Thanks for showing up, Josh.
Can you guys cut that out?
Yeah, we'll take it out in post. So anyway, my dream of going across the country in an RV is getting closer every single day. And one of the things that I want to do while we're out traveling is I want to do barbecues. I want to do sleepovers, like, so the kids can have their friends over and, fall asleep with the fresh air. I always imagine like pitching a tent next to the RV so the kids can kind of have their own little space or whatever.
We did that once before when we came to visit Newfoundland. We had a little pop-up camper, and then we pitched it. We set up a tent next to it, so we had like a playroom.
And we put our laundry baskets and things like that in there and extra clothes. So it was a good place for like
luggage.
Changing, for going swimming and stuff. So anyway, we're not in an RV today, but hopefully soon. So we just did some of the things. Like we've had a barbecue. We've been going for some nice walks, and the regatta happened last week. And
our kids had a friend over for a sleepover, and they all stayed out in the tent. So that was like they were practicing camping.
Everybody's exhausted.
Camping practice. Yeah,
we
got zero sleep last night.
Nobody slept
because
they were having fun.
Because the kids were in the backyard, and obviously we can't leave the door locked at night like you normally do when you go to bed. So it was like, well, you and I will just stay in the living room because the door's unlocked. We're like the security. So
we were walking yesterday, and we saw this little girl on like one of those little push cars, like it looks like a cozy coupe, but it's got a big handle up behind it. And she was flying. She might have been like 3 maybe. And she was flying across this parking lot towards Kmart Road, which is like one of the busiest, craziest 4-lane highways in the city. And this little boy, maybe about 5 or 6, is chasing after her, kind of trying to catch her, but not really catching her.
Being the one that pushed her.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
And so we were watching this in horror because there was no way we could have got to her in time. But it was like she's about to go into Kmart Road. And then just out of our little sight line was this dad who showed up on the sidewalk and was catching the little girl because this was... But did I mention she was going backwards?
It was funny because she got to the edge of the parking lot and we were like, oh, the dad's there. He'll stop her. And then he backed up towards the road. So like she went down the grass hill a little bit It was like,
and I
where's
said,
this kid's
that,
mom?
my friend, is the difference between moms and dads, because there's no way I would ever let that happen. Like, there was no way I'd play like that with the kids. And so why I'm saying that is the sleepover last night was the first glimpse I've had of you having a neurotic, overprotective moment. I was very shocked to see it. It
What
threw
was
me.
I neurotic about? About the door?
Well, I think we live in a really great neighborhood.
Yeah, our
I
neighborhood's
really do. I mean, someone took our propane tank one time, and then there was this other time where somebody was in our backyard, and Josh went out like Indiana Jones, and the guy was just looking for his cat under our porch. But I thought we lived in a really great neighborhood.
Indiana Jones?
What did I say?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, or maybe like
Was
Tim,
he like a
tough guy.
Was he a tough guy?
Yeah, so Josh goes out and, like, used his height and stuff.
What are you doing in
and-
my backyard?
Yeah, and the guy was like, "Sorry, my kitten. It wasn't even a cat. It was a kitten." Anyway, I saw a glimpse of Josh understanding to how it is to be on the other side of that, because I was like, "Let them they'll be fine." And Josh had the windows open so we could hear him. He wanted to leave, and then he didn't want to leave the door. And I was like, "Wait," because you wanted to lock the doors. You weren't comfortable with the doors being open, and I was like...
My comfort was that in that every night we go to bed, we lock our doors because it's 2025 and that's
Yes.
what you do. But like having
And I
the
wasn't
kids,
comfortable with locking the doors.
having the kids sleeping outside, it's like you either give them a key and then in the middle of the night if they have to pee, they have to figure out how to use the house key in the dark
Yeah.
for some reason, or you leave the door unlocked. And it was like, well, if we're leaving the door unlocked, if we're upstairs in our bed and they're outside, like just any old person can just walk right in the house.
Well, I said, who would be checking the door? And also, if we're leaving our kids out in that yard with people that you are afraid will come inside, and maybe this isn't the safest place for them to camp. Anyway, it was all fine. It was
so
just
now we're moving.
It was the first time we had ever tried that, and the kids had such a great time. And there was little giggles coming at like crazy hours when we thought they were asleep. Like, go get to bed in there, go to sleep. But they were great. They got up super early this morning.
Yeah,
and nobody really slept.
A full like 4 hours before we usually wake up, Peter was standing over me going, "Can you make us some breakfast?" And I was like, "Go get some cereal."
And Josh is usually very pleasant. I'm sure you can tell. Thank you to all the loyal listeners who have been following our journey all this while. Anyway, it was the grumpiest I've ever seen Josh. And I just went, these guys are on their own. And I just went upstairs
They're fine.
because it was like, they're fine. Cereal's fine. And I wanted to do like a buffet this morning. I wanted to be that really cool mom that like gets up and there's like personalized, not pizzas, but like, I don't know, omelets or something with the smiley face in it.
Pancakes in the shape of everybody's
yeah,
face.
Yeah, or like Batman pancakes or something. And it was like, get away, get some cereal, go away. We didn't say that, but I thought it.
Kids don't sleep in when they're excited.
No, and they don't go to bed early either.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. But anyway, they had a great time.
Peter,
so the tent is still in the backyard.
Peter and his friend were out in the tent. We ran a drop cord out there and a TV, and they were out there watching Saw. They thought that a horror movie would be a good idea for their first outdoor camping experience on their own. And I did notice on the streaming platform that Saw, it was only like 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And that's how far they got.
I was reminded of one of my favorite Nate Bargatze bits where he is at a sleepover and they're putting a scary movie on and he wasn't allowed to watch scary movies.
I don't think I'm allowed to watch this.
And the mom was like, why don't you you don't need to tell your mom. And he said, I don't want to butcher something. I just watched the Mark Maron Netflix. Was it on Netflix?
HBO.
Yeah, we just watched the Mark Maron special,
I think.
and he talks about people butchering bits later on down the road, so I don't want to do that. But anyway, go check out Nate Bargatze, watch everything he's ever done. And want to do because we're such influencers in the world right now.
Are we?
Yeah, I think so.
Influential people?
Fives and fives of people listen every single week. But I just want to do a quick shout out to our buddy Hannah. So Hannah's husband had a Netflix special come out on the 28th of July. It's fantastic. Go check that out.
Hilarious.
I think it's really funny to call him Hannah's husband. Because I bet you she gets
you
called...
might know him as Hannah Slay's husband.
Yeah. Anyway, go check that out. Figure out who it is for yourself. Anyway, I'm very overtired. We're watching Conan O'Brien's podcast. Also huge fans, and Timothy Oliphant, apparently I've been saying it wrong, was on there, and I wanted to watch it so bad and fell asleep for most of it. I kept waking up looking over at Josh and he was all hung down.
I was just thinking I was just thinking really hard. I was awake.
Yeah, we were just really thinking about what you're saying.
Meditating.
But it's funny in this moment of overtiredness that I'm having a really good day, being very gentle with myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
We learned some real cool stuff over the last few weeks, and we're putting everything into place. And it's been really fun. I'm really taking it easy on myself. And so, what do we want to talk about today?
Well, since last week you did the marketing meetup panel.
Yes.
Hey Orca.
Mm-hmm.
So a month ago we went to one.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a month?
Yeah.
Like longer than. Anyway, a month ago we went to one, and then this month's meetup you were on the panel and talking about marketing on a budget, and it was awesome. You did great. I was very proud.
I curled up in a ball and cried for most of the night after that. It was rough. I felt out of my element. I did not take care of myself that day. I didn't exercise. I didn't drink enough water. I didn't eat. So I got there pretty wired and hyper, and felt very out of my element. Had no idea what business I had being there. And then I went into full, like, I'm okay, I'm enough, blah, 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 did all that stuff. And then, so the other people on the panel, thank you to Hey Orca for having us. Just in case people are listening because I told everybody we had a podcast. There was
You did.
It was like a, there
We're
was
going to have a
bingo
huge
card.
uptick this week.
Yeah. There was a bingo card. And so everybody at this networking event had to cross these blocks off their bingo card. And it was like, you met somebody that you didn't know who told you about their favorite restaurant, or told you about,
I like Joe and I like Hey Orca, but I do want to say that was not bingo. That was a scavenger hunt. So just, it's food for thought.
Okay. Anyway, one of the squares on there was, it didn't have enough squares, and I thought there was no being called things being called out.
It's just pedantic. It's just the name. I'm just saying it was a scavenger hunt.
It was a great idea.
It was an icebreaker.
The follow through wasn't there. Whoever had that idea maybe found it somewhere, and they didn't. First of all, they didn't know what bingo meant, and also
it's somebody that's never been at the Legion with their aunt and playing bingo.
Yeah. Then they take it very seriously. I found out the hard way, but there was also no communication about it. There was no actual conversation or calling out who has had this thing. So anyway, one of the squares was met somebody who recommended a podcast or book. And so I kept announcing, if anybody needs that square, our podcast is called Are You Mad at Me? I thought it was very funny, and I laughed at the time, and I kept saying, it's called Are You Mad at Me? You're welcome. And so people are probably thinking that's what the name of it is. But anyway.
Are you mad at me? You're welcome.
Yeah. I was very cocky and confident, and
you did great. It was really, really good. You had a lot of good points
afterwards.
and a lot of good
So I
insights.
went into full on woo-woo there, even though the people on the panel the panel was dedicated to marketing on a budget, and I think you can't be more than on a budget than us because we intentionally spend $0 on marketing. And so I went in there ready to share, that your books are your business card, and this is a way for somebody to build. You can build trust through your book. You can tell your expertise through a book. You can show people what you're going to do for them, so they're a little more inclined to spend the money and not, balk at your prices and things like that. And also, that you can achieve anything. And so that's the kind of garbage I was getting on with, and I felt very out of place.
I think it was a really good balance because, including the host, everybody on the panel except for you was coming from a corporate perspective. Like it was it was corporate marketing. It was like people that were used to marketing in an office with synergy and customer retention and I don't know, all that stuff.
Acronyms were my big one, but I couldn't figure out what they were talking
about.
But
you had a good perspective for people that aren't in that, like, because I think that people that would go to a marketing meetup for the most part would be people like us that are from like maybe either a startup or a small business or an entrepreneur situation. So like I think having that, your perspective of, you're not in a boardroom. You're not like, answering to a board of directors. You're talking about actually marketing your work on a budget, and that was important. I think that was a really good perspective.
I feel like we missed out because I would like to go and listen to people like us with new ideas. Like, I mean, obviously we know what we're doing, but it would have been nice for me to be in the audience listening and getting some tips and tricks from somebody who's uncomfortable, working on a $0 budget. Not on purpose. If I had $100,000 or like the person sitting next to me, $13 million budget, and the guy on the end apparently was the Google Ads master for the planet or something. Anyway,
I think he was Mark Zuckerberg.
It was a really nice event. I didn't have a good time, but it was horrible.
You were just nervous and insecure, but you did great.
I was just more and more out of place. And so at one point I got so insecure. Like, and this is the kind of stuff I want to be doing. I want to be on panels and I want to be offering stuff that I've learned, and it just was not the forum for it. But at one point I got so insecure that when it came to me, I said, just so you all know, I have a degree in marketing and communication and a master's. And like, why are you talking about your credentials? Like, it was such a jerk moment for me. Like, why are you acting like that? Why do you need people to know that? It was like, because I felt so out of place. And it was like, I know what I wasn't in that brain space. Like, I didn't think we were going to be using acronyms or budgets the whole idea was, that we're working with nothing, and it just got off the rails.
You might have felt like there were people in the audience going, "Why is she up there?" But that wasn't coming across.
Well, there was at least one person in the room thinking that, and it was me. So I felt like I needed to kind of prove myself, and then it was like, no, this is yuck. And I just started talking about, writing your dreams down and taking the inspiration that the answers are already in you. And see, this is my audience right here. This room of our production crew and our dog and you. One of our dogs. I feel like this is where I get to be myself and I can share what I want. And, there are people who, if you don't like it, you would turn it off by now. So if you're still here, maybe we're doing something right. But anyway, it was wild. It was very and again, I don't know. In theory, I want to do those things, but when I
want speaking engagements and people to ask for your advice and
on the day, it was a little rough.
But I'm proud of you. I think you did great.
What was weird to know, when I'm tired, like I'm not able to process like basic math or acronyms or anything. Like I just speak to me in plain language. But if you're telling me like to remember this code and then I'm going to tell you something after, like, it's useless. Not that ever happens in real life, but like I knew what they were talking about. Textbook wise, I've seen it all, did all the exams, graduated from the programs, and it was like what it kind of comes down to. And I felt like I was almost being combative. It was like they were talking about analytics and what your profiles are doing. You guys weren't there. I'm filling you in. I'm being very negative about it. Am I being negative?
I think you're getting back into that mindset of
what matters.
You didn't deserve to be there, but you did.
It was more that I've done the schooling. I got the diploma to show it, and it doesn't work. Like living that life and making money for other people and like being a corporate marketing person, that's not what I thought we were going to be talking about, honestly. And so I felt like it kind of came down to, what are you guys doing? Are you guys going to get up tomorrow and go to jobs that you hate, making money for people that you can't stand, who would replace you in a day? So I really felt like getting back to that core, but I didn't have any feedback on the day except for you, and you were amazing and very supportive and wonderful. But we had to walk all the way home to shake it off. Because there was because likes don't equal sales and followers don't equal clients. Like, it's just not, those numbers are like, what year is it? Like, where are we with this social media talk of getting more followers? Like, so the questions, and the host was fantastic, and he was asking me questions like, Vickie, what do you think is the main thing to be doing right now for marketing, like this untapped potential with with the lowest budget possible? And I said, well, podcasting. And I believe these things. That's why we do what we're doing.
Podcasting and self-publishing. That's the whole thing.
If you're thinking about starting a podcast, it is the number one way to get in somebody's life, and they get to trust you. They not in a fake way, like not that you're not trustworthy. It's just, it's really hard to do that in a 10-second ad or with a thing that's going to pop up on Amazon or Google. Like when someone is listening to your podcast, they get to find out if you're a jerk or not. And maybe you are, and maybe they like a jerk. I don't know. But also it's real, and you get to hear a lot of things about someone's life, and is this someone you'd want to work with? And I feel like it's, so all that to bring it back to, I was a lot more gentle with myself this week.
That's good.
I've been really saying, I haven't done marketing. I need to get marketing started. I need to do whatever for all these books that we've put together. And I realized what I would say to somebody I liked, and hopefully one of these days I will be one of those people, is anytime you mention, I'm talking about books on this podcast, but if you make coffee, if you're designing clothes, whatever you are doing that, makes somebody else's life better. Anytime you talk about what you do, or like, that's marketing. And what I also noticed at that panel was that they made it sound like sales was a dirty word. So
Yeah.
what I kind of walked away with was, wait a second, you people work in marketing, but you're not worried about sales. So you get your salary whether the money comes in or not, which is like, so it's not important to you if there are sales made. Like you're accountable, you have to answer to somebody, and you have to do a new campaign. But if you are hanging on by the skin of your teeth and you have to make sales to make your business operate, I want to talk to those people.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't talk about the return on like how much time you're putting into it and what you're getting back, and like your efforts are you getting back? Does it feel good? Are you getting out what you're putting into it? Those are the things that, I don't know, it's real life. I was pretty tempted to do our own panel, honestly.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought about on the way home that day was
marketing on a budget for real.
Or maybe like a panel with authors to sit down and say, how do you market your book? Because that's real to me, but it probably applies to lots of different industries and stuff.
That's
but
something we could do on Self-Publishing Month.
But maybe so, yeah. But like we've got friends who run coffee shops. We've got people who run little bakery businesses or catering businesses and things like that. And it's all like our friend Cody owns Blue Smoke Barbecue. He's here in St. John's. If you ever get the chance to come to St. John's and try out, Cody has the most authentic barbecue, slow roasted. He's got the big smoker and all that. It's so good. And he does all these really great salads, and his mac and cheese is amazing. But Cody is like, he's got a family. He's working. Like there's a direct connection between his success and his family eating that.
Yeah,
week.
Paying his bills.
It's paying the bills. It's a
close.
like life or death. He could do other jobs. He could get hired anywhere tomorrow and work for somebody else. But he's really in the grind where you can actually see your results. And I want to talk to people like that. So authors and. But there's also this huge population of people who have side gigs, and that's also not the same thing. Like if you're putting out a song and you work, say, offshore, and you make $200,000 a year, and you can put $5,000 behind distributing a song, you're not in the same arena as someone who is playing gigs or busking or working on TikTok and trying to get your song out there 30 seconds at a time. It's just not the same.
Right.
And obviously, we could all do these things with money. Now, if someone had a huge budget and was like, what do I do first? That's a whole different conversation. I don't know where I'd send somebody. I wouldn't even know where to spend a budget, honestly. But anyway, that's where we are, because it's like you're hanging on, and it's your livelihood. And I know people are making money at jobs. I get that. I don't mean to, like, God love you. Bless your heart that you're going to a job.
It's just a different perspective, that's all.
But it's just not practical advice. And it's like, what? So you're just... So I thought about doing our own panel where we could actually talk about, like, there's a few really, really, really great authors here in town. I don't know if their books are any good, but their marketing is phenomenal. Helen Escott is one. She does all of her own marketing. Ida Linehan Young does all of her own marketing. And she just launched a brand new publishing company this week. It's called Seaweed Publishing. Go check her out. She put a brand new book out. I think it's like number 15 for her. And it's called Blinders. I think it's a crime novel.
We saw it in chapters the other day.
But she's she's over 40. She's a woman, and she just started a publishing company, her own banner, and her own like brand, and she just released a new book. So hats off. So I think folks, and she really understands. We've talked about Ida before on here about her Facebook presence and how often she posts and stuff, and she knows her market, she knows her audience, and she does really well with her books. And she branched out and said, So I think we need to invite folks like that on the podcast.
Yeah.
To talk to them about what they're doing and how they're getting stuff out, because it can be for any small business, and small meaning it's just not big yet. But I think there's an extra hunger when people when it's the main gig, and I think a lot of people want the side gig to become the main gig, and there's kind of that buffer of like, well, I have this other job and I have to put in 40, 50 hours a week to that, and then what's left over, which I feel for those people. That must be hard to try to squeeze in a little bit of creativity and passion in between, That must be really difficult.
Yeah.
So what I was, I kind of changed my tune a little bit, because I have talked about my books a lot. And then guess what else? We're doing a 1 hour podcast, at least an hour every single week. And the point of the podcast is to promote our books and talk about self-publishing and why it's important. And we do that.
And market.
So when I was a young mom and felt like we were messing up every single day and we were going to end up with psychopaths as children because we were doing everything wrong, I thought. It was kind of nice every day when they would finally fall asleep that I was like, you know what? We fed them today. They're clean. They're safe. We did a good job at the bare minimum. And I really, really liked when I was breastfeeding because there were days when I felt like I had absolutely nothing to contribute. But like, well, I mean, breastfeeding, it helps.
You're literally feeding them.
Well, I felt like it was a really good choice. I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And some people aren't. But it felt like, well, at the very least, I'm doing this thing that I found out, was really good for the baby. And even when I feel like a crap mom, at least I was doing that. And so that was one of those things that I just kind of clung to. And it got me through a lot of those early months when it was rough. Babies are hard work.
It's a lot of work.
So being a little more gentle with the old Vic Meister. And
also, don't call me Vic Meister.
No, that'd be fine. But I do talk about the books a lot. Now, I will say, I had a little epiphany. You want to hear it?
I do.
So, if somebody came to me today and said, hey, do you recommend self-publishing? I would say, absolutely not. And there's a train of thought here.
Uh-oh. All right.
Well, this is where I was last night. I was in the rats last night thinking about this. And this morning I woke up with 2 hours sleep and it was so much better. But I was thinking about the process of, I'm on all these groups on Facebook, like the KDP support group and the self-published authors and whatever. And our group, of course, is Self-Published NL, and it is the best group on Facebook.
It's the best one.
It is. So, but I was thinking about the process of writing your book. It's a little bit different when you're not planning on sending a query letter to a publisher. Because you actually know, like, this is really going to go out there and finding that voice that you're comfortable sharing. And I try to write as though nobody's ever going to see it. Like, what? Because I need to, like, quiet all the doubts and stuff. So I write as though nobody, it's just for me. Nobody, this is just to get it on paper. Nobody's ever going to see this. You can be honest. And so then once it's out, it's like it loses some of its power that it would have had as just an idea in my head. And so then I get a lot more comfortable sharing it. But the process of writing, editing, formatting, hitting publish, putting your files up on a platform, signing up for different distributors and all those things, it's a process. And it's a lot of the steps that you need to do. So if you're sitting here right now and you're going, I wish I could write a book. The steps between you and a published book in your hands, there's a lot. So what I've been facing over the last little while is, okay, I got this book in my hand. What are you going to do now? It's like, can we just take a moment and celebrate that I did the first 8 very difficult steps to get the book in my hand? Right. Like, can I take a breath? And so that kind of, so if I'm being completely honest, it's hard.
It's a lot.
Like, you do all these things and you pick your categories and you pick your keywords and you put it on platforms that you think it's going to sell on and all this research that goes into it. And then it's like, all right, but what? And one of the reasons for these feelings of all being all mixed up and stuff, on these support groups, someone will go on there at least once a day. Someone will post on there, I just published a brand new book. It's only sold 3 copies. I don't want to do paid ads. What do I do? And there's always these like keeners that are, if you're not marketing every single day, blah, 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 of course you're not selling. Stop being a whiny baby. And I was like, I don't know I don't know very many people who are good at all the things. But I do know, and I know you're on some groups too for like audio production and graphic design and things like that. And the folks who will like swoop in and say, you don't belong here, you're not trying hard enough, stop whining.
Gatekeepers.
Wow. They make stuff so much more difficult.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the noise in my head is you got to start marketing now. The only way someone's ever going to find your book is you got to start doing ads and you got to start a heavy campaign with social media. What? And I'm going to, like, I have been. That's what's really, really devastating. I have been posting. And when I come up with a piece of content, I'm putting it on Flipty, what is it? Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Threads, and YouTube. And then there's a couple more. I'm putting it everywhere. And it's like, I'm not getting results based on the effort. Like, the relation between how much effort and how much results I'm getting is dismal. But if you step back, and I'm putting something on Facebook like, I don't know, like For the Grace of Joe last week was number 69 in abortion, which there's no abortion in the book at all. I mean, we didn't do a medical termination.
Right.
but it was a little bit funny. So I posted that on whatever. And there was something else I posted last week. I don't remember what it was. Apparently having these, like, you know, you can like change the background on a Facebook post so there's just one color and you can put text on it. Apparently those are the type of ads that they're calling them ugly text based ads. They're doing really well. So I tried it, and 90 people liked the post, 15 people commented on it. And one person said, "You got a sale." Like,
yeah.
Okay. On a regular day, that'd be a win. But the Facebook promise was these ads are going to make your sales explode. So all these efforts and stuff, like the book is selling, it's doing well, there's reviews on it. But is it anywhere near the effort I've been putting in? No, not even in the same ballpark. It's exhausting and heartbreaking because it just is. So,
and I think that's one of those differences when you have a marketing department, like people that are getting a salary, no matter how much work they do during the day, they might put in the same amount of work that you're putting in, but whether or not, you know what I mean? They're getting a paycheck from the company, right, or whatever. So it's where you're like, I need to sell a book to make $6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what it works. It's pretty much what it works out to be. And so I've been kind of working under the idea that I don't need $1 million idea. I need $1 million ideas. So all these little books, like right here, so these little, I'm really proud of these little bare bones books. I think they're adorable. They came in the mail
this week.
I've been finding that the Amazon shipments have been really slow. Not for when you order a book, like as a customer, but for self-published, for the author copies have been really slow. So I called Amazon and I was like, "Can I expect these books anytime soon?" I wanted to have them here in time for the marketing meetup last week, and spent half an hour on Amazon. Got absolutely nowhere, and they were transferring me to yet another person. I just went, ugh, and I just hung up. And then the book showed up 4 days early.
Which was the morning of the panel.
The
event. So we had a handful of them at the event to show folks. But they turned out really good. They're little.
They're sweet.
They're little pocket guides.
Yeah.
And they're, I think they are perfect. Exactly like we pictured them.
They're based on a book that I used when I was at USM, and the teacher recommended it. So like 15. So this is kind of where I would like to be. The instructor recommended everybody take this photography. It was called a bare bones book guide to photography or something like that, or a
video or something.
Bare bones video or something. And it was 8.5 by 11, and it looked like a brown paper. So this is totally ripped off from that. But Josh did the design, and we just did a brown background. It looked like
one of when we were kids, and you would do, like, I don't know if you guys did it, but
yes,
you
we did.
Wrap your books in. But if you couldn't afford the book wrap paper, you just use paper bags from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And then that's what our textbooks would have, the brown paper bag on the outside of them. So that's what that book looked like, and that's
fluff.
That's what we sort of modeled these after.
These are great, and it looks like the cover's all buckled. Josh put those. It's really sweet. Why was I talking about that?
Because you're talking about marketing and getting a couple dollars per book. And
yeah. So these books, I think they're $5 for the ebook, $9 for the paperbacks, and they are everywhere now. But I think the total, like what we pull in from those, is maybe $1 or $2 on the small books. And then the coloring books, I did find out that when you do hard covers, they are very expensive to print. So the hardcover books are quite expensive, and they're close to about $10 Canadian to print, and then you get half of what's left of the cover price. So I dropped down all the prices on the coloring book ones, on the coloring book versions of the guides, because they were brutally expensive. So I'm hovering at about $1 a piece for the coloring books, even though we put the most work into those. But anyway, and what it all comes down to is anytime somebody reads those books, they either walk away with their own book published, or they find out what to ask other people for if they're going to hire somebody. Or, maybe every once in a blue moon, somebody might call us and say, "Look, I read your book. Someone said to me the other day, it's all gibberish," which is hilarious to me. Hurtful, but hilarious if it wasn't me, that heard it. But maybe it's somewhere along the way somebody will say, "Hey, do you want to publish a book for us?" Because, and again, I don't edit. I don't change voices. I don't change grammar. I don't change your actual text. I format your book so that it goes into the shape that you want, and with the paragraphs and the headings and the, table contents and all that kind of stuff. And Josh is a really, really great graphic designer and does covers and inside artwork and things like that. So if you're interested in that, that's what we do.
And you do a great job with the formatting.
Thanks.
Because the insides of these books they all look fantastic.
I can't vouch for the content itself, but it looks great.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's content
It's
is going to be different if
garbage.
you're talking about doing it for somebody else. Everybody's in the content.
Well, the job is to write the book, right? It doesn't matter if you write it on the back of a banana
and that's the
leaf.
thing too. You were saying like that there's a whole bunch of steps, and it's hard to go through all the steps of self-publishing. But like when you're self-publishing, any of those big chunks of steps can be standalone. Like if you just want to write a book and have a book written and have it on your computer or print it off and have it on your bookshelf, that part's done.
Yeah.
If you want to go a step further and publish it as a paperback on Amazon or draft to digital or wherever, that's one more thing. And it's not like you have to be an author, you have to write a book and you have to publish it and you have to market it and you have to make a whole bunch of sales. Like you can do as much or as little as you want.
Yeah. And I think starting off from an authentic place too is, well, the more you can ask yourself, why did I write the book in the first place? That's it. Kind of the idea that there's a solution on Pinterest or on a market, like somebody's newsletter, like your own material. And so I think if you go to bed at night and write down, I'd like to sell a copy of my book tomorrow, I can almost promise, I can certainly promise, because that doesn't mean anything. I can guarantee that when you get up in the morning and you're going about your day, before lunch, you're going to have an idea, because this is what's in all of us. You will have an idea. And it might be like, you might go, oh, that's stupid. Vickie's an idiot. I didn't have a good day. I didn't have a good idea, and I knew it. And I'm going to email her and tell her that was stupid. But
that's
it's
your
not.
frequency.
But the ideas you're having are not stupid. They're actually really, really inspired. So if your idea is, let me think of something absolutely ridiculous right now on the spot. Well, the other day I used one of those text-based ads, and I posted, Vickie Morgan wrote a new book and put a picture of her, and I won't say it because I'm really trying to keep this clean because I'm sending this out to public access TV stations. But it was basically, if you've seen the cover of the book, you know what's on there. And I said, Vickie put a picture of her blah on the cover of this book, and you can have it for $19. That's $9.50 per nipple. It was totally stupid. But did it sell a copy of the book? Yes. This is the thing. So like that was just a stupid idea. Not stupid.
It felt silly, but that was what worked for you.
That was the inspired thought. Now,
Yes.
does someone listen to that and say, that's not inspired? And she said stupid 4 times, now 5 times. Like, ugh, she's using terrible language. But it's like, it's in all of us. It's not, there's no one better suited for your work than you. You know
Right.
why you wrote it. You know who it's going to speak to. And you probably want people like yourself to be drawn to your work. So a marketing expert is going to tell you what they're good at. But like we don't trust ourselves enough, is what I think. That's where I am right now. It's like, trust in yourself. And if you're great, you wrote a book and you trusted a marketing company to do it. That's fantastic. But the work, I feel like I'm doing the work. Like I'm in the trenches. I am learning to like myself in this process, which is like kind of the point. Like if I'm trying to tell other people in all these books, you're okay, you're enough, don't beat yourself up. Like who should benefit from that first?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm learning along with everybody else.
Maybe it's a big step for somebody to believe in their work enough to hand it over to a marketing company. Maybe it's
the same as sending a query letter to a publisher.
Yeah.
It's letting somebody else tell you what you're worth. And you're just going to do much better in life if you can say to yourself, if you can look in the mirror and say, I got your back. Like I'm going to look out for you, and I'm going to treat these creations like they have value. And I don't know if the books are any good. I don't care if they're any good.
They're good.
What am I? See, I'm really not digging for compliments. It really is. I'm the one that, it's my opinion that matters more than anything. So if I'm beating myself up, so what I was looking at a couple of days ago was like, oh, what are you going to do? Forget about these books too, just like you did with For the Grace of Joe and How to Fail as Documentary Filmmaking, because I didn't really market those until we came up with Self-Published Month last year in October, which is around the corner again. And until I gave myself that permission to be proud of my self-published work, it was like they were just kind of sitting on the shelf. So I was like, okay, great. You fired a missile over, it struck, you had lots of damage. Good for you, Vickie. You said something shitty to yourself. But then it was like, whoa, well, what if I just wait until October and just plow into self-publishing month and do a bunch of events and that sort of stuff. And so the books were picked up by the paperback for Famous Sexy Writer was picked up by Indigo, and so they're going to put it in their system, and that means you can go into any of the local chapters here, chapters or Coles in St. John's or Mount Pearl, and I think Corner Brook. Those there's going to be paperback copies in there, and I know I talked about this last week, so if you're just joining us for the very first time, if you have published on KDP on Amazon, the files that you use for that platform are also good for Draft to Digital, Barnes and Noble. There's more. Kobo. You can do it on Apple if you use an Apple device, but if you're on Android, you can. They're two different languages, and you can't use the Apple software easily. It's a whole. And
there's also we haven't tried Ingram Spark, right?
So Ingram Spark charges $49 per project. So for every single book, ebook or paperback, you're paying $50 off the hop.
Yeah.
Now I think you get 100% of your royalties, if I'm not mistaken. But
Draft to Digital and Barnes and Noble and Amazon, those are all
completely free
to use.
Yes, and so they take a cut. There's printing costs, and I think I looked up Ingram Spark the other day, and the book that's costing me like $4 to print is $10 on Ingram Spark for some reason.
Oh, wow.
Now you can also do a company called Lulu, and you can put like a little page on your website, and Lulu will let you sell directly, but they'll send it to them free or something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty overwhelmed right now with all the places we have our books. So there's another one called...
Which is good. That's a good problem to have.
So Authors Republic, you can put audiobooks on there, and they distribute to Apple. So you don't need to go through Apple. And you can go on Apple through Draft to Digital, which is also free. And it distributes to so many places. It's on Smashwords and Tolino and... Elvira and the Oak Ridge Boys and Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of places I never even heard of. But there's also like the main ones, and Barnes and Noble. I set up an account on Barnes and Noble specifically because you can manipulate your information a lot better if you're actually on their platform. But you can also go through Draft to Digital to go to Barnes and Noble. So, and I found that all out through being on a Facebook group. Someone made a comment and it went down a rabbit hole. But it's so one thing that I'm kind of hanging on to is you need to be discoverable, not viral.
Right.
So
people have to be able to find your work.
When you put all that work in, it really matters that you have good keywords, that if somebody's on Amazon looking for a DIY guide to publishing or step-by-step guide or how to make money as a writer or women over my books are not just for women. But that's probably my market because I am coming from a place of trying to make it on my own, trying to reinvent myself after, lots of flops and failures and, botched attempts at things. So my avatar, my ideal client is probably a lot like me. And so that's where I'm coming from. So I put those in my keywords because it's probably going to match up with people who are in there searching. Now, that does not mean a boy who's 55 years old or 35 years old is not going to benefit because it's all there. It's just he might find me annoying. I feel like people when you're on the same...
I think it's pretty universal.
Well, there's other people for other, different strokes for different folks. And so I'm going to appeal to a different audience than, there's lots of people doing self-published books or, guides to self-publishing. And there's lots of people that there's a libraries full of people that had lots of ideas and some of them are dead and their books are still there. And there's brand new people coming up with brand new ideas. And it's such a funny thing. Like if you go into a library, it's very intimidating because it's like, oh, I guess all the books have already been written. But it's not true. Your book hasn't been written. And it's like a flash in the pan. Like you haven't told it in your way in 2025. And your story might be universal and might match up with a lot of people who'll connect with your story. The more traumatic, the better, apparently. But that's the thing. Like people have these stories and you feel better when you tell them. It feels really nice to connect with people. And it might not sell 1,000 copies in the first day. But it probably will sell 1,000 copies over time.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a difference when you can actually like yourself and like your work because it's, not everybody's cut out for it. Does everybody have a story that deserves to be told? 100%. Maybe, but sometimes your book might be better as a play or as a radio drama or as a sculpture or a painting. I mean, it's, it finds ways to come out. What I'm saying is sometimes the books are in such bad shape when you first write them that it would take a whole lot of work and money to, not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying It's a practice. You get better at it the more you try it. And so if you have visions of writing books, like I would say, at least start with a journal, you know?
And then when you feel like it's ready, let's get some people to read it. People that you trust, people that,
I disagree.
You don't think?
No, I disagree. Because you're putting all the power in somebody else's hands, and they might say, this stinks, and then you're devastated. So, I mean, if you know for sure that it's going to be people that are safe, but at the same time, they might not like your book. And it might be someone that loves you endlessly, and they might not like your book. And then they decide whether you're going to be a writer or not. I think, and this, again, goes against, as all my marketing stuff goes against all my marketing professors, but I think in this sense, if you have found your voice and you're able to put your words on paper, sit with it yourself, edit yourself, take out what you want, what you want to leave out, add in what you feel like, but like trust yourself. And give it some time, give it some space to breathe, go back to it, like leave it alone for a few weeks and go back to it and read it with fresh eyes. But I think I know what I want to say. And so giving it to somebody else, the communication thing, this is the communication degree in 3 sentences. Like there's a receiver and there's a sender, and then there's all the space in between that can, where there's all this noise that can mess up what the message is. And someone who could read your manuscript and not get your point at all. Yeah. Especially someone close to you that you trust and love. So not to fight on the podcast, but I think the more eyes that are on your manuscript before it's published, they can buy a copy. They can read your book when it comes out, and maybe they won't like it. I mean, as far as grammar goes, or sentences, like, proper punctuation, if that's what you want. Yeah. That I think letting somebody read it for that. But as far as, is this a good book? No.
Yeah, well, 100%. That's what I mean. Like, I think if somebody can have a really good, a really important thing to say, and maybe they have a problem with putting the punctuation or the word, you know what I mean? Like,
what's that called? Would that be a copy editor or?
That'd be copy editing, yeah.
You think?
So, like, if you're looking at punctuation, grammar, that sort of thing. Like, if you're doing structural editing, like moving chapters around and changing the actual story so it makes more sense, that's different. But like, if it's just like somebody that gets caught up in like, somebody might have a learning difference.
Proofread. I think
proofreading and copy editing are pretty close.
It's I think when you get into structural stuff where like this chapter belongs over here, I think you can handle it. I think if you're writing a whole book, between 20 and 50,000 words or something, you can probably handle the structure. Like, do I want to talk about when I was a kid first, or do I want to put that at the beginning? Read books.
That's a whole different thing too, because like when you have a story in your head, like whether it's fiction or it's a memoir and it's your own story, like your brain's filling in the gaps. So if you're reading it through and there's stuff like you're picturing what's happening, a reader that's never heard of the story before is going to have to come up with that stuff on their own. So
that's okay.
They need to sometimes be led down the path a little bit more than the author.
Keeping your audience, keeping your reader in mind to see if. But I think that's why you step away.
Yeah.
And give it a little bit of room to breathe and come back a few weeks later or however long. So if you're in a rush, that's a problem. Like, you need to give it some time and but you're telling a story, and it's really, I know Mike Boyle did this a lot with his book. There was a lot of stuff they left out because they wanted a reader to fill it in. Stephen King said the scariest thing you can put in a book is leaving somebody's imagination to fill in a gap. Yeah. So I like that.
And the thing, self-publishing is, like you're saying, take more time. Self-publishing is a lot quicker than traditional, like going through a publishing company. So like, taking more time, you're still saving, like, you're
but
still
it's
going
your
to be,
time.
it's still going to come out a lot quicker.
It's giving your voice more time to develop, I think.
Yeah.
So instead of a bunch of editors who are being paid thousands of dollars to change your words around, and my note to them is write your own book. Like, if you know what it should sound like, how do you know what somebody else's book should sound like? I just don't get that. And I think that's kind of the tricky, slippery slope of self-publishing. I saw somewhere the other day, and I read the comments and some stuff, like in those groups, but it was something about self-publishing. I think it might have been on an author support group, so it was like a mix of trad published and self-published. And so it was like, you can't say too much about self-publishing because some of them are real bad. Like, okay, but guess what? You on your throne with your publisher behind you and all your highly paid editors, you can sit up on that throne and pretend that your book looked better than someone who self-published. But guess what that self-published author is going to do? They're going to start another book, and they're going to get better
Yeah.
Your writing's going to stay here because you got all these safety nets and all these
That's true, yeah.
life preservers
That's a good
around
point.
you. And it's just, ask anybody that's gone through a publisher. It's not the same book that they brought in.
Yeah.
And maybe it got better. I don't know. But maybe you needed more work on your manuscript and get better as a writer. And then but everybody's got their own path. Maybe that's not what somebody wants. Maybe
Yeah.
they just want to see their name on a spine of a book. But I like the idea of getting better. And I know my first book wasn't as good as the second one. The second one's not as good as the third one. And I know I'm getting better as a writer because I'm getting more comfortable with people are going to read this. Are you comfortable with what you're saying? And the
Right.
first one, I was terrified. That was even my second book. The first one never got published. That's
true, yeah.
That's how scared I was the first time around because I was afraid to share,
If you're not looking back on your old work and cringing a little bit, then you're not growing as a creator.
Absolutely. I think so. So it's a pretty fun, so the business side of it, no, I wouldn't recommend self-publishing for that part of it. If you're going to listen to people who are, if you're going to listen to the critical people who are like, you got to market, like, listen, anytime you bring your book up in a conversation, that's marketing. So that was kind of a funny thing that came out of that marketing panel was like, they are into building a brand. That's what they consider to be marketing. Like, okay, building your brand, getting some authority, having people see you as someone who knows what they're talking about, whatever the topic is. It could be beekeeping, Nancy, if you're listening. But it becomes, anytime you mention it, and I think if you can treat your book like it might save somebody's life, that's the best approach you can have. If you think it's like going to waste somebody's time, it's going to take a bookshelf, don't bother spending money on my book. We're okay. If that's what you're telling me, I agree. If you're telling me your book sucks and it's not worth anything, I'm going to agree with you. But I'm also going to agree if you tell me this book is worth reading, give it a shot. I'm giving it a try. I don't know if it's perfect or it's my first try, so be gentle with me. Like, but those are the sorts of things that, like, yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear from those people, like, because you will get better. And I was so happy today. I got an email from Draft to Digital, which I was afraid of before. And I'm into it now, face and eyes. Got my books on there. I got 8 books published. It's awesome.
It's impressive, yeah.
Well, it's free, and it's just a little tiny bit of tweaking. The format's a little tiny bit different. It's so manageable. And when you look at all the work you do to get on Amazon KDP, it's like a little tiny tweak, and you're also on all these other places. What was I going to say? I had a train of thought.
You got an email from Draft to Digital?
Yes. It's the first time in a long, long time that I've seen business speak match up with the stuff I'm listening to with all this law of attraction, woo-woo, stuff. So it was 5 tips on discoverability for your book. And I really like this. I love Amazon. I'm very happy that I've had this home base and that I was able to publish on there. That'll always have a special place in my heart. I have never received an email from Amazon with advice, ever.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Draft to Digital is very interested in authors' success, and I don't work for them. And I'm not. This is not This is not a paid endorsement. This is just my experience. In the past couple of maybe 3 or 4 days, I've gotten a couple of emails from Draft to Digital with legitimate advice.
Yeah,
with
marketing advice.
These tools are available to you. Have you thought about this? Make sure you do this. And it's like they're actually interested in my success now because they make money when my book sells.
Yeah.
But
everybody wins.
So the email I got today it had 5 tips, and it was, first of all, here's the 5 tips to success and discoverability as an author. See if I can remember them. Oh, first one was a good cover.
Right.
Check. And it never at any point said write a good book. Never. Some mean authors will say that to you, but like that's crap. Obviously your book is good. Okay. Good cover. I think it was keywords and categories. The next one was oh boy, I don't remember. But number 5, and this is what really got me, because this goes right along with Esther Hicks and the law of attraction and all that stuff. The 5th piece of advice was write another book. Unheard of anywhere else. I've never heard it put to me that way. I've heard it from Esther Hicks a lot of times because she says that when you open the door to creativity, that's what lets sales in as well. So the fact that this corporation, Draft to Digital, was putting advice in this mass email to all their authors saying, if you want success with your other books, write another one. And the reason being, this is like kind of common sense, I guess, but if somebody finds one of your books and they go find you on a platform and they see that you've got all these other books, there's a much better chance that your market, your audience, your ideal reader is going to really like your other stuff.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these little fireflies that are out there in the universe, like for all the different books that you've written, and you're working on another one and you're adding to that catalog. It's for every single little kernel, every little firefly that's out there, that's one more opportunity to be in front of people, and you don't need to go viral. I don't like, and I've heard it, like that's like winning the lottery anyway. You don't want it to happen that fast because you can't maintain it.
Right.
It's not sustainable. You let it in at the pace. The information shows up when you're ready for it, and the success shows up when you're ready for it. And I know you feel like, but I'm ready right now. I'm ready right now for the millions. And it's like, you're not.
Start walking towards it.
And I'm going to go back to my good buddy. I've never met him in my life, but Nate Bargatze. Go listen to his podcast, especially the early ones, because he talks about barking on the road in New York. I got to say this too. He talks about how he never went to school. He didn't go to college and all that stuff. But then it's like, how is no one, I've never heard anybody put this together. He took comedy classes in Chicago at like the second seat. Like he went and he honed his craft, and he took the classes that were relevant to the thing he wanted to be doing.
Which is the point of college anyway.
100%. Yeah. And it's like, have I just not gone far enough into all of his stuff or his podcast or whatever? Like he is educated. He went and learned from the best and beautiful human. He gives it away he gives the information away for free. Like anybody can go on and listen to that free podcast and find out his method. And now I'm paraphrasing. This is not my place to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. His story, he talks about it on interviews. It's on the podcast. It's in the book. He started off on the street as a barker, which is, the people that are doing the comedy shows.
Trying to get people into the club.
Trying to get people into the club in return for time on stage. You're not guaranteed a spot. But if you bring people in, you get 5 minutes or something like that, and you can get bumped really easily. It's a whole what do you call it? Hierarchy.
Yep.
So Nate said, if you're barking and you want to be the headliner or the person that can walk into a comedy club and bump everybody else, you're never going to get there because it's too much of a leap. Esther Hicks talks about it too. It's the emotional scale. You're not going to go from depression to joy.
Right.
But what's your next logical step? And he said barking, like he started barking on the street, and then he wanted to bark closer to the comedy club. And then when he got closer to the comedy club, he wanted to be the guy on the door because they had a little bit more authority and they had a better chance. They were, I don't know, I've never been to New York comedy clubs, but my understanding, what I took from the podcast, why I love this guy so much. And I, by the way, bought his audiobook and the paperback because I wanted to hear him read it to me. So you're not losing a customer if you put it out in audiobook or ebook format or a paperback. Sometimes people will buy a couple. But it's that logical step. Like, what is the next step for you? What's a little bit better than your situation that you're in right now? And I just love that.
Yeah.
Because I sold one book yesterday. You know what this next step for me is tomorrow? One book. Not two. That's two people reading. Tomorrow, one book is amazing.
Yeah.
People are on these support groups and they're like, I sold my first book. And like, oh my God. Remember back in the day when I would have loved
that was huge
to sell one book? And it's like, I sold 4 this week. Come on, get it together. Like, it's the next logical step, the next little improvement in your life. And it's, you can have a dream of selling out a massive Mile 1 or Mary Brown Center now. They changed the name. It'll always be Mile 1 to me. But yes, of course I want to be doing things. I want to do the David Sedaris thing and tour the country and read from my books and read from my essays and host other authors and all those things. But like, what do I want first? Like, well, first we're going to do our public access show. By the way, for our loyal listeners, I hope this is okay with everybody. That idea that I had to start a brand new show is Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill. We already have a podcast. It's already about publishing and marketing. And so we are inviting people to come on this podcast. And so the Google form that's on all of our socials, if you fill out the form, tell us about the book you have already published, tell us what you're working on, and a fail story that you're willing to share on the podcast. And we're going to have you on this podcast, the Are You Mad at Me podcast.
Yeah.
So this is a call for any authors that would like to be on our podcast. And the marketing plan is not only are we going to put the podcast on our regular platforms, but we're going to put it on public access television. And here's how you can help us. If you are in one of the 50, what do you call it? 50
contiguous?
What is it? The 50 states. If you're in one of the American states, you're welcome to come on if you're a Canadian also, obviously. but I'm making a call out to my American friends. If you're in,
because that's where the public access TV system.
well, there's a method
is.
to the madness. So if you are in, say, Arkansas, or Oregon, if I talk to an author in Oregon, there's a like it 10x. It 10x's the probability that a station in Oregon, so public access is everybody has access to it, and there's over 1,000 stations in the United States.
Yeah,
so 50 states, there's 1,000 stations. Do the math, right? So there's a bunch in every single state. So if I have somebody on from, like, let's say, where's Little House on the Prairie made? Missouri, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So I want to talk to authors in Missouri just because that's where Laura Ingalls Wilder was from, and all the places, DeSmet and all these little. I just love it. I love her so much. Also a person who wrote well into her 80s.
Yeah.
Like, so, it's never too late. But if I have somebody on from a particular state, there's a really good chance that I'll get that episode aired in that state.
Right.
Okay. So I'm still going to need to come
multiple stations.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And so on Peg Media, it's going to cost like less than $1 for every single download of every single episode. So I need to come up with a little bit of money to cover those costs. So let's say we have a writer from Texas, and we talked to somebody literally early today, who's from Texas. So here's the situation. I interview that guy in Texas. We send the episode out. It's on the podcast. We send it to public access. We put like $10 in our Peg Media account. Okay. I get in touch with the Texas stations and I say, I had an author from Texas on our show. It's about self-publishing. There's no calls to action. We follow all the guidelines. I'm a public access producer. That station goes to Peg Media and they download it. For them, it's free because I'm paying the $1. So for every station in Texas that covers it, I pay $1 and they download it for free. And then they play it to death on their station because it's free. It's local content. It's relevant to the people that are watching, and it highlights one of their residents. So that's the method. That's why
the benefit to us is it's marketing for our stuff. So it's marketing for the other author.
Exactly.
It's marketing for our stuff.
That's exactly it.
The people
it's not like, it's such an altruistic thing, or, we know what she's really trying to do. No, I'm being very transparent about it. When someone from Texas comes to me and talks about their book on my show, I'm talking about my books on my show as well, and then we both win. A rising tide rises all boats. So I talk with my hands too much. I might have a little bit of Italian in there. We had a Jesuit priest that was the principal of Gonzaga, and he talked about how Italians do that all because he was Italian. Anyway, I'm sure lots of people do it. So that's
our next project.
That's the project, is not because I'm trying to sell books. That's the next thing I want to do. I want to be hosting a TV show. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's nobody beating my door down saying, hey, you want to host a TV show? So I'm going to make my own. That's the heart of that's the heart of it. It's, I get to do things that I want to do, and it's really beneficial. We also love talking to other creative people to find out how hard it is, what their process is.
Right.
And we learn from every time we've ever had a musician on our radio shows. We're learning a little bit more about, so this is normal. This is a little tip or trick. This is we're all learning from each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm not looking for authors that have 6 and 7 figures and left their corporate job. Like, come on. I want to talk to somebody who, gets it. And if you're listening to the podcast, we'd probably get along really well. So that's my plan.
That's
so
the next project.
I don't know if you can cut this out and make it a clip that we can send everywhere, because apparently a lot of people really love the clips and feel like they're big fans of the podcast and have never seen an episode. Yeah. But I feel like that about a lot of podcasts. I've never watched.
Same. Yeah.
I don't watch.
I think that's common.
Fly on the Wall. I don't watch that one. I don't watch the Amy Poehler's. What's her, A Good Hang with Amy Poehler. I don't watch it, and I also don't watch the Tom Segura.
Yep.
I don't watch their podcast either. I feel like I'm a big fan, and I love the clips, but I
love the clips. Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever watched more than 3 or 4 episodes. So this is the thing.
We did have somebody ask us if the shorts was our podcast. Like, that's a really short podcast. No, those are just cut out shorts of.
I'm glad we get at least a couple of funny little spots out of all of them.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. If you're interested in being on the Are You Mad at Me podcast, get in touch. There's a form. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And it's on all of our socials. It's in all the bios on all of our social platforms. To fill out the Google form, it'll ask you, I don't need your phone number. I don't need your home address. I do need an email. I need to be able to get in touch with you through email. Tell me about your book so I can go check it out. If you're talking about, killing all the dogs in the world, or, you're not very nice or something like that, or your book is about, how much you hate women, I'm probably not going to have you on the podcast. But if you're writing, from a good place,
Yeah.
we'll have you on.
Which most
We
people
do
I think
reserve
are.
the right to keep off, like Nazis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of standards, actually. I think we're pretty nice people, and we're looking for nice people to have on the podcast. So that's where we are.
Listen, we're up over an hour. Do you have any final thoughts?
I thought kind of that was.
That was our final thoughts. That sounds good.
Yeah. So if you're interested in being on the podcast, we have had. Now, I can't guarantee these results. I will tell you that when I was interviewing hockey players, what was it? There was a bit of a pattern that they.
You were a good luck charm?
Yeah.
They started winning games after they interviewed you?
Or
you
went
interviewed them?
on to like the big show kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of success. And I'm not saying I can guarantee, like the last two people that I helped publish their books, they have bestsellers.
That's true.
I'm not saying I can guarantee those results. I'm just putting the stats together.
3 if you include yours.
There's I like Phoebe Buffay. I taught myself and I love me. But it is, these are things that I'm just stating facts. I'm not saying I'm charmed. I'm just saying that, sometimes it works out for people who work with me or who allow me into their space. And so, of course, maybe it's because I'm just beaming. I had a Reiki woman one time. I said something to her, and she was like, I knew you were thinking that. Or I said that. She said, I beamed it to you with my eyes. And I was like, pooh, you're a kook.
Okay.
Because, some people are kooky. I'm into the woo-woo stuff, but there's a line where it's like, no, you're possibly too kooky for me. So final thoughts is, would I recommend self-publishing? Nobody's asking me that question, so I'm going to ask it of myself. And if your goal is to be a millionaire or to... I don't know, prove your sister-in-law wrong or get back at your ex-husband or something like that, that's kind of rough. So I can't, so when my second book was coming out, my friend Carmel, who was visiting from Ontario today, when that second book was coming out, I said, I'm worried, people might be mad or people might be offended by it. And she said, here's the question that you need to ask. And here's why I'm comfortable, supporting what you're doing. Are you doing it with any malicious intent? And that's a pretty straightforward answer. So I think if you're going through a nasty divorce and you want to write a book about what a meanie your husband was or your partner, write it down. Absolutely write it down. Give it some thought. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. See if you feel the same way in a year.
Yep.
The more angry you are, give it more time for it to breathe and see how you feel. But I think I would recommend writing, and I think keep on writing no matter what. And yes, I recommend self-publishing if you want to share it. I think that's kind of the thing.
That's important.
If you have some intention of making $1 million, then I think the ideas will come that will help you write $1 million book. Or if you're just happy to share it, I don't know. I'm rambling. That's final thoughts. It's time to wrap it up.
Wrap it up. This has been episode 37.
What's your final
thoughts?
thoughts?
Are you mad at me? I am just excited about these books being out and more stuff coming from you and more stuff coming into us from other authors. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm excited about it.
So I think, I'm very, I kind of was done with the books and all that stuff, but I kind of have a couple more. I got 3 or 4 more ideas that I want to get going. And it's like, where am I going to fit that in? But that's the next plan. Not the marketing plan. It's really writing more books and working on a TV show, which is, yes, it's marketing. It's included, so I feel like it's in my backpack, but I'm not focused on doing an ad on any social platform or any of the platforms because it costs money and they're making a lot. And I don't know, there's still some organic ways to get your name and your voice and your books and your product out there. And I think that's for me.
Yep. That's fantastic.
Because I think it has the potential. I think there's actually like a bit of a cap on it when you pay for the ad. Because there's like, beyond this, we're not going to let it show it to more than this many people. But if something like legitimately is funny or gets out there, there's a really good chance that it will just take off on its own. Because the algorithms are not, they can't block everybody. There is some room there for stuff to actually go by human interest.
Yep.
So I'm banking on that.
Awesome.
All right. That's it for us.
That's episode 37.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Keep writing.
See ya.